You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast on the Weird Libertarians Network. I am your host, Jeremiah Morrell. As always, I'm joined by our co-host, Dakota Davis and Clay Morgan. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey.
Hey.
I had to jump up. I was looking at my show notes real quick.
That's all right. This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. It's a show that man, I am struggling.
It's the live feed.
The bright lights. This show is about folks who are involved in politics. We promise our episodes are going to be fun and an easy listen. We interview people who are influencers, elected officials, political experts, and folks that we just find interesting. Today, for episode 24 of the Boss Hog of Liberty, we are joined by Henry County Council President, Mr. Nate LaMar. Welcome, Nate.
Thank you. Appreciate this, and thanks for hosting here in your home, Dakota.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Great.
This is a dream come true.
We're in the world-famous studios north of Q Avenue.
Exactly.
It's a top-secret location.
It's not even a home away from home. It's like home at home.
That's right.
That's correct.
It's a second-floor penthouse studio.
People always talk about, whenever you talk to those people that are lucky enough to work from home. I mean, I guess I can say that now, but Jeremiah doesn't pay me enough to really classify it as work.
No, but you do get the exemptions now on the business expense of having the home.
Yes.
So you've stolen that deduction away from me.
Oh, yeah, it's all mine now.
Yeah. So we are broadcasting from the new studio for the very first time, Facebook Live and the subsequent YouTube feed video that's available. So from time to time we'll look down and see some comments. Can't guarantee that we're going to catch them all or be able to interact with everybody on all of those, but they're there, and it's kind of a fun community event for everybody else that's there. We have rearranged the studio against your wishes. We've changed out the table and started over. Yep. And now we got everybody in the shot.
Yeah, we do. Jeremiah, this is the first time that you've seen it, right?
I've been here.
Oh, sorry, I said Jeremiah. I meant to say Clay.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Other than watching you guys on the Facebook Live when you've been testing it out. So, yeah.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I thought it was pretty cool.
You think it's neat?
Yeah. Sounded
awesome.
good, looked good.
So
yeah.
We're a month ahead of schedule. We were trying to be here by November 6th was the goal that we had set. Yep. And just kept picking away at it. And
it's passion.
And here we are.
Passion.
Well, it's really because of the donations that came pouring in whenever we asked for them. We had a big support group of people that really wanted to see us take off and be successful. And because of that, we were able to get this done literally a month before schedule. Like, it was, November 6th?
Yeah, I think that was our target.
Yeah, that was like, all right, we're going to try to get it by November 6th. And here we are, and it's October 5th.
So, yeah, we've got more soundproofing panels. We have awesome. The new table, new blackout curtains up everywhere, so you don't have those junky ones here anymore. New tablecloth. So, yeah.
Nope.
And then
new
we're using
blackout curtains and draper shades underneath.
And draper shades underneath, hiding.
There you go.
Hidden deep.
Great.
And then you have the Lisa Crosby light kit. So
that's right.
We're well illuminated.
Yeah, and we worked all day on this Saturday.
Yeah.
We literally, like, our Saturday for Jeremiah, Audrey, and myself was working on the studio, compiling a list of things that we needed, getting the table from Jeremiah's house, and then eventually we went and did a little thing with Clay at 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that was...
Yeah, there you go.
So we've been promoting it for a few weeks that we were going to be a part of the Victory Lane Camp's chili contest, and that was Saturday. Dakota, myself, and Sheriff McCorkle, and as predicted, a non-pasta chili entry did win. So
yeah, that is true. It
was a real disappointment to your mother that you let that happen.
Yeah, she did. I saw that she commented on that. She was like, "Didn't I raise you better?"
Now, which one? I know. Didn't you have differing opinions on the pasta?
Yeah, I'm fully anti-pasta.
You were
chili.
definitely no pasta.
Yeah. That would be. That's what
really
you'd call
like
goulash.
You were pasta permittable.
Nate, what belongs? What belongs in chili?
I do like Cincinnati chili. I like pasta and chili.
See, that's very different. That's like a totally separate category.
It's almost like spaghetti.
Yeah, it's like a skyline chili. The 3 ways that they have, those are awesome.
Yeah.
I really like those.
right.
So, and then while we were there, we had the little inner child in Dakota got excited because the hot air balloons were set up.
Yeah.
The van was there. I guess it wasn't actually set up, so we had the promise of a hot air balloon.
Whenever
ride.
we pulled in, the hot air balloon company was unloading the basket for people to ride in.
Right.
And I made the connection. They had a sign set up that said, "Are we on your bucket list?" And I'm like, "Yes, that is definitely on my bucket list." Like I've always there's a little thing whenever I was in elementary school where one of the teachers won a contest and got to take a full-fledged hot air balloon, and I can remember like watching her go up and everything, and just like was in total amazement. And ever since then, I've wanted to do a hot air balloon ride, so I was so excited.
That was awesome. It's great that you were excited about that.
Yep.
And
I
then,
loved the video.
Yes. Yeah, and
You
that
see this?
his face. There's a video. If you go back and look at the Boss Hog Liberty page, you could see when I broke it to Dakota that they probably weren't going to let him go up 1,000 feet, and it was going to be tethered. And he was ready to go home at that instant. It was over. The dream was crushed.
You could see his face just drop.
He said, those are tethered, right? It's just tethered balloon rides. I was like, tethered? You mean like tied off? He's like, yeah, you're only going to go up like 10 or 15 feet. I was like, what?
We can get the same effect on a step ladder if you want. Just a big orchard ladder.
I still would have been happy with it, like just getting in there, but my condition for that would have been that the guy would have had to let me pull the little flame string.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I would have had to do that, and then I would have been satisfied.
Yeah, I've never done hot air. You ever done hot air balloon ride?
No, unfortunately, I haven't.
Yeah, have you? No. See, none of us have.
Yeah.
One day
Never
we're gonna have a real field trip, and the 4 of us are gonna get in a hot air balloon.
I've always wanted to go skydiving too.
You can do that one.
That's
on
a
your
big
own.
one. I just want to do all of that stuff: skydiving, base jumping.
Adrenaline junkie.
Maybe like one of these days.
Base jumping is tough to pull off in central Indiana.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, Dakota, you're young enough. Join the Army, and you can go skydiving.
There we go.
That's what I did at Fort
Plenty.
Benning, Georgia.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're an Army veteran?
Sure am.
Absolutely.
Oh,
We'll get into that on Nate's. We can jump.
I don't
into it
know
now.
much about Nate. Whenever he walked in the door was the first time I've ever actually met him.
So
like I've seen him around places.
But he is kind of close to you in a different way, right?
yes, I guess you could say that. He's going to be eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, he's close to my soon-to-be mother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
You guys work together, right?
About 20 feet away from each other.
So they are literally close, like 20 feet together close. Yeah.
You guys are almost family.
very close.
How long have you and Monica worked together?
Monica started there before I did. I don't know the exact date, but I began work at Draper in July of 1999. So
Yeah.
I've been there just over 18 years now.
Yeah, so you've known Monica since I was 4 years old.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot longer than what I have. Pales in comparison to my 5 years.
There you go.
So I guess that we know whose side she's going to take if things come crashing down between
Or
Nate
if,
and I on
I don't
this
know if Nate got an
podcast.
invite to the wedding, but he's obviously going to be sitting on Monica and Audrey's side.
Yeah.
On the Draper side, in the Spiceland Church. So I've known Nate for this goes back to probably right around the time you were starting with Draper. I was in high school and you were doing the GOP speech contest, probably one of the first or second
You
years.
competed in, I believe, the first year we had that.
Yeah, I'm the old savvy veteran.
And we're now in the 21st year of it.
It's old enough to drink.
Mm-hmm. And last year, for our 20th anniversary, we had a record turnout. We had 15 kids compete from throughout Henry County.
I think the first year I competed in that, we were at the at the Best Western at the time.
That's right.
In the conference room back there, yeah.
And there were only 3 competing that year?
Yeah, I placed in the top 3. I don't know how many there actually were.
Just like you were valedictorian of your class?
I graduated first in my class, Dakota. So, yeah. There's just like when you walk through the halls at Tri-High, where you're from, all the valedictorians are on the wall over there. If you walk down the hall at my parents' house, my picture's on the wall over there, too,
Oh,
for
is
being
that
first
it?
in my
Yeah.
class. Yeah, it's small victories in life. You have to set achievable goals, and then you're happy with
Yeah,
it.
my friend Chase Payton, who listens to this show, always tells people that he graduated top of his class too, and that was on his college application. He was valedictorian. He went to Freedom Christian Academy out on Highway 38 here in Henry County.
Were there like 3 people in his class that year?
There were 3 people in his class that year. Their cap and gowns were colored red, white, and blue.
You got everybody covered.
Wow, nice.
So, and then you served in the Army, correct?
That's correct. Active duty from 1985 to 1992.
Excellent. And then you are a West Point graduate.
That's correct.
As well. It's starting to sound like a resume for a congressman if we keep going. So, I've slayed Clay already. Hold it together, sir. You got to be a professional. And you also have worked as a liaison for the congressional delegation as they've gone out and found or recruited people in our area for West Point, for the academy, right?
That's correct. I serve as Military Academy Liaison Officer for the 6th Congressional District, and that's just a fancy title for West Point Recruiter.
Excellent.
So that's what I do.
He knew me in high school, and yet he never tried to recruit me for West Point. I got overlooked. I don't know if he did that job back in the late 2000 or late 90s, but
I started in 1998.
Yeah, he
I
definitely
had
had the
to wait for a
opportunity.
guy to retire from that position until I could take it. So 1998, that's when I became the recruiter for this area.
Well, they're very cool. So, this Republican speech contest that I was a part of. Tell us about when it's coming up. It's a fall event, right?
That's correct. It's always the first Thursday in November, or I shouldn't say always, because we moved it around over the years. It used to take place in the spring, but for the past 3 or 4 years now, it's been the first Thursday in November, which is interesting, especially in election years.
It's
because,
right there,
that's
election week,
typically
right?
Either right before or right after the election, depending on how the calendar falls.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you open it up to anybody from the county, and then you bring in different judges from outside of the county, right?
That's correct. It's open to anyone grades 7 through 12 who is a Henry County resident, be it public school, private school, home school.
What's your topic this year?
This year our topic is, what's your opinion of the first year of the Trump-Pence administration?
Are all answers acceptable?
Yes, all answers are acceptable. We feel like an open-ended topic like that will hopefully generate interest among our teenagers. You can each have one of those.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Yeah. So and you have cash prizes, and then a lovely award of I think you get an honorary non-voting membership in the Republican Club.
That's correct.
So you guys, there's a party, and then there's also like a Republican Club for the county. What's the difference between those two?
The Henry County Republican Central Committee is the official body of the Republican Party in Henry County. The Republican Club is what's called an auxiliary party organization. Larger counties will typically have like a Republican Women's Club, Republican Men's Club, Young Republicans, and College Republicans. But in Henry County, we just have one club called the Republican Club.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Well, it's tough enough. It's tough enough to staff a county party
right.
without having 8 or 10 different subgroup parties.
Mm-hmm. I heard at the dinner I was at. Speaking of all these clubs, I just thought about it. Somebody was in town looking to start a young Republican club.
I heard that. Yeah, I heard that recently. I think it's Ben Fisher, who is a Daleville town councilman, and also he's an officer in Delaware. He may be president of Delaware County Young Republicans.
Okay.
I think he wants to try to start that organization here in Henry County as well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the true conservative young people already have Young Americans for Liberty.
Well,
available on like every college campus.
We don't have a college. Well, we have Ivy Tech.
Yeah, we have the Danielson Center too.
So yeah, that is true.
We got some opportunities.
Is the Danielson Center, is it still open? What have you all heard on it?
As far as I knew it was. I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't
Seems
heard
like someone
anything
told me
about closing.
IU East had moved some classes from there to the Ivy Tech building.
That's a good question.
Have any of you heard that?
No,
I don't know.
Don't know.
I haven't heard an update on that.
Maybe somebody watching right now will let us know.
We may have that. What Travis is picking on us. Travis White says, I see. When Nate doesn't talk loud enough, Jared adjusts his mic. When I'm not loud enough, I get trash talk. Well, Travis, you're the media, so we have to pick on you. We learned, and Travis says he wrote a story on the Danielson Center. He's not saying what it is. We have to go buy the paper to learn what Travis said. But he says he wrote a story on it. Mm-hmm. So, Nate, you've been making the tour of the 6th District in Indiana, and you've been considering and looking at possibly making a run for office, and you're still evaluating opportunities for yourself. What's that process been like, going around and meeting folks and running all over not all over the state, but darn near all over the state, 19 counties? Yeah,
19 counties throughout the 6th District, which comprises east, central, and southeastern Indiana. It's been a challenge. I'm thankful that our older daughter, Elizabeth, was able to be my driver to a lot of those. Plus, she liked it that she was able to take advantage of it to rack up the hours she needed to get her driver's license, especially the 10 hours of night driving.
Absolutely. So is that, I didn't know that anymore. You have to track that now as you're getting your
supposed to
40 hours of daytime driving plus 10 hours of nighttime driving to get a driver's license.
Yeah, but I can remember being in high school. That was the thing whenever I was trying to get my license.
4 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. 4 years ago. 5 years ago. 5.5.
You want to slap him?
He's still young enough to he's still been caught by some of these new laws.
Yeah. But I would just drive my mom to work every morning before I had to go to vocational school. And I was worried at the time that, since the sun was partially coming up whenever I was driving her to work, that it wasn't going to count. I don't know why, and it makes me sound like an idiot 16-year-old, but I was actually worried. I'm like, oh man, they're not going to let me get my license now. It's not legitimately nighttime. The sun's coming up.
Poor guy. I feel bad that you had to go through that stress like that.
You're going to lose on a technicality.
Yeah.
Reporter Wyke is telling us that there are no official plans yet. More to come by the end of the year. So no news on the Danielson Center. They're being dodgy on the tough questions.
Okay. Interesting. Well, reassure Travis that I am a Courier Times subscriber. So I do buy the paper, and I will look for his story.
I think everybody at the table is a Courier subscriber.
Is a reader.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh,
you don't have a subscription for
I don't want to lie.
I
know. I don't want to lie. I can't lie.
Man.
I know.
You
read my lips.
How in the hell do you run a barbershop without a daily newspaper?
They come in and tell me the news.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then Travis comes through and reports back out what the story is for the page.
Exactly.
It's like a beauty shop. You get all the local town gossip.
There is a lot of conversation. You find stuff out every day.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think you told me that one time. You said that it was whenever I first started going to your barbershop, and I was telling you a story, and you said, maybe you already told me that. I don't know. I hear so many stories throughout the day.
Some true, some false, some kind of in between.
Yeah, Clay's my barber, and he and I talk politics, especially when I'm the only one that's in there. Then we can really talk politics.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
When others come in, then we have to.
You have to be careful about what's going to go on down there.
It's all those secret meetings.
I walked in. I ruined Darren Jacobs' day last week when I walked in because he was there, and I almost turned around and left, but instead I just took pictures and said
that was awesome.
Those are for the internet.
That was awesome.
So that's the way I like to do it.
I've been in Clay's barbershop an hour after my haircut's done, talking about random political things.
It's the place.
Yep, It's the place to go.
So you guys are both members of the Henry County Council. We don't have a quorum here, but we got a hell of a lot of the members.
That's right.
We got 2 of the 7 members of the Henry County Council here tonight.
28%.
And man, he's good at math.
I told you he's a walking calculator.
He is.
That's what I tell everybody about Nate. He's a walking calculator.
So over a quarter of the Henry County Council is here in your spare bedroom, Dakota. You guys are in budget time. So the main responsibility of a county council is to set a budget for the county.
That's correct.
You've been going through a process, and Clay's tried to lay this out, but we'll kind of update us as to where we're at. There are expectations and workshops that you guys go through for a revenue forecast, and then in the last couple of weeks that's been updated and you've had to make some readjustments.
That's correct. We haven't had to do a third day of budget workshops since I believe my first year on county council in the summer of 2007. We had to do 3 days then. Since then, we've been able to accomplish everything, in only 2 days. This year, though, we did meet for 2 days in mid-August, and then the auditor, right before she had submitted the budget to the Department of Local Government Finance, she received new information from them saying that projections were down for Henry County, which I found a little strange, especially on the county option income tax being down, because our unemployment rate has gone down substantially. So one would think
as your unemployment rate goes up, then you would think you have more money coming from it.
Right. Yeah, one would think the revenue would have gone up from the county option income tax.
So the county is funded by property taxes?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Different sorts of local option income taxes?
That's right.
And then are there other revenue sources? I guess you get some small fees and
fees like for in the recorder's office, the prosecutor's office, the jail. Those are the fee generated. The clerk's office as well. Those are the fee generating branches of county government.
So like a court, or are the courts paid for by the state, or are they county funded?
Some of both.
Okay.
Now, court fees have to be paid to the county clerk of courts.
Right.
Child support, things like that.
But like your prosecutor's office and some of those folks are state funded, right? Or do you have to still handle?
Here's the issue on the prosecutor's office. It used to be that when you got a speeding ticket, you could request the pretrial diversion. I know that from experience about 15 years ago. And if you paid approximately $150 above and beyond the speeding ticket,
a little bit
fine,
of extortion,
that would help fund the prosecutor's pretrial diversion budget. The problem is, though, the state is taking more and more of that revenue away from the counties.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. All right.
So we do have like some prosecutors paid by the state. And then we have one or two paid by the county. There's kind of a division there, mm-hmm. or something like that anyway. But then the judges are paid by the state.
Very cool. So as you've gone through this, you're done with your workshops now, and now you have basically a final reading or an adoption at your official county council meeting that's coming up this month?
Yeah, that'll take place Wednesday, October 25th.
Okay.
The actual budget adoption.
So what happens, I served on the Henry County Memorial Park Board, mm-hmm. and I know that there were some expectations that there were going to have to be some scale backs there, and then with the health department as well. What kind of adjustments were made to these, and are you expecting to have any staffing level changes, or is it administrative adjustments, or what kind of things are coming with the budget if it passes?
It's unfortunate that the property tax caps have crimped probably 85 of Indiana's 92 counties in a major way. But it seems that the Department of Local Government Finance picks on health departments and park departments more than anything else. They have borne the brunt of the property tax caps more than the general fund has.
How does that work?
Is that a fair statement, Clay?
Yeah. It seems to be they're the ones that kind of the state says, okay, I honestly, I don't understand how it works or why it works this way. But, yeah, they'll take those two departments and say, okay, here's your limit. Here's what you're going to get.
It's like they're at the end of the line almost. I'm not sure how that works.
I think the reasoning for it is they are fee-generating branches of county government. You pay fees when you go in to get travel vaccines or a birth certificate or a death certificate at the health department. Sure. Likewise, to rent
a shelter house or something,
shelter
you pay that
house
fee.
At Memorial Park, yeah. So that might be why they get squeezed so hard.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we wanted to touch on was what exactly the county health department does. Like I know that you go in there and like you can get vaccines there and your death and birth certificates and things there, but what else is the scope of their work? at the health department.
One thing I'd like to mention that is helpful to me, since I do international at Draper, being able to get vaccines for the places I go to, whether it be hepatitis A, hepatitis B, typhoid, yellow fever, the list goes on and on. I don't have to drive to Indianapolis because the Henry County Health Department is the only health department in this part of Indiana that has travel vaccines. Even the larger counties that are our neighbors, like Hancock, Delaware, Madison, and Wayne County, do not have travel vaccines offered at their health departments. So I'm thankful for that at our health department.
Yeah, absolutely.
So but you can't get that at your a local doctor's office. You have to go. Is that something that's typically just offered through a health department?
A lot of the exotic and tropical disease vaccines are highly regulated, and so typically only a county health department or otherwise a licensed travel clinic has access to those.
Okay.
Now, I believe the Draper Health Clinic has either hepatitis A or typhoid available. Can't remember which, but the others you have to go to the health department to get.
Interesting. It's weird that it's regulated like that. I would have never thought that they would, that you wouldn't be able to access that.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Interesting. I'm not sure what to think of that. It just seems
not
strange.
even with Obamacare.
I don't think it's regulated because they are controlled substances. I think it's more regulated because, the live nature of certain vaccines. They can't sit for too long without being used. Otherwise, they go to waste. I think that might be the reason behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense.
All right. So so you've made your adjustments. You expect that to come through, and then I read in the local reporting that there are going to be some changes with the county jail and the way that's set up, and some forward-looking changes there. What's going on over there?
That's correct. It's public knowledge that Henry County is currently facing a lawsuit against some former inmates, or a lawsuit by some former inmates against Henry County. And so we're just trying to make sure that to relieve prison overcrowding, we've properly funded 4 new corrections officers who will have a women's dorm set up in what used to be known as the Work Release Center across the street south of the current jail.
All right. And is there a projection on time as to, that by making that adjustment, you're going to get another 3 years or 5 years life cycle out of that jail, or how does that work?
Clay would be better versed in this because he's a member of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee, who I know that group is waiting on the national consultant to present his findings. Is that correct?
Yeah, and so what it does in the process, it's not... Honestly, it's never been mentioned, hey, let's buy X amount of time with this. It's just we're overpopulated, so we had to make moves. We were facing sending residents to other jails, which I think the minimum cost is $35 a day.
And some counties have raised that to $55 a day starting October 1st.
And so we were told with the number that they would have to move to another jail, Sheriff McCorkle said it could cost the county over $20,000 a month to house these residents. So this was an adjustment to help alleviate that problem. Of course, we're in the midst of the federal lawsuit, so we're trying to do our due diligence with that. And so it did cause some shuffling. Our drug task force, our detectives had to move to another building, which costs the county another $32,000 a year, approximately, with rent and utilities. And so we're just making those moves right now to take immediate action to help solve some immediate issues. But like Nate said, we've got this needs assessment coming in. I talked to one of our commissioners today, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks we'll get that back. They sent him some information he was looking for, and so hopefully within the next couple of weeks he'll send us some info back. And then it's my hope that at our next council meeting we can actually have something to present and say, here's some options. What's our next step?
Right. So then how do you – okay. your population of your jail continues to increase, I guess, or you're bumping up against what's you have to.
It has increased. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
is that being driven because people are staying in the county jail instead of going to the state jail, or are we just finding that we're ending up with more people that have to serve time? What's the driver of that issue?
Unfortunately, it seems like we're ending up with more people who have to serve time, but I do know that Henry County's judges are trying to find unique and creative ways to, ease the burden of prison overcrowding, such as, more house arrest cases and things like that.
Right.
And I know we're starting I don't know if it's officially been, I don't think it's officially been started, but a drug court to help alleviate some of those issues. Maybe not, someone has a drug violation, not sending them straight to jail, but having them go through this drug court process. And I don't understand all of it. I just know it helps with the burden of locking everybody up and try to alleviate the problem in a different way. But for some reason, we are hitting the number 200, whereas before it was 180 was a big number. Now it's getting to 200. And some of that...
You just look at the footprint of that building, you think that there's 200 people in there.
Oh,
it's just unbelievable.
Trust me. Yeah.
It's a very small structure.
You ought to take a tour of it sometime. Yeah, just ask Sheriff McCorkle. He would be happy to give you a tour of the jail. It's an eye-opener.
I haven't taken a tour of that place since I was in high school.
Open.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, he's been very open about letting people come in.
Just this past year, I had to go in there. There's like an office in the front, and because I was going to apply for the sheriff's reserves, right? And I never actually did it because I got declined because I was only 20 and not 21 at the time. But anyway, I walk in there and like you can just tell, like not even having to go into the actual jail facilities, just by walking into the building, you're thinking about there's 200 people, behind these doors, and it's like, holy cow.
Yeah, it's pretty jam-packed. So there is a real issue there. And with some of the state laws that you were hitting on some things there, with some of the changes, the former Sheriff Baker was saying this, before these laws took effect in the state, and he was saying these laws would increase the jail population of local jails.
Yeah.
And so now we're beginning to see all over the state, it's not just Henry County, but all over the state, jails are becoming overcrowded now.
Well, and you see, like, to our neighbors to the north and our neighbors to the south, they're both building, Rush County, I think, is in the process of building a jail, and Delaware County is looking, we've talked about this on the show before, at converting the shell building, one of their shell buildings over to a jail facility. And I just continue to come back to it and say that it's a systematic thing. I'm not sure that warehousing is the solution. It's more of an issue of trying to find ways to get people out of there, whether it's skills programs or education.
And here's the thing with
different ways to keep them from coming
decriminalizing plants, maybe.
A lot of that will have to come from the state level,
right?
And that's where I think that's where the predicament local.
It'd be really convenient if we had somebody that could have influence at the state level that was from here.
Well, you never know. You never know.
Someday. Perhaps.
But that is the situation locals are in. Like even when we build our jail, and I heard this comment in the barbershop, and it makes sense. It's not that I like it, but it makes sense. If we're hitting 200, then we build for 200. Yeah. What are we doing?
We continue to make more laws in this country, right? And in this state. More laws make more criminals.
Well,
right?
and here's the thing. Criminal justice, I'm a big advocate in believing that criminal justice could be reformed in such a way to help reduce this, but that's not the direction it's going yet.
Yeah.
So
from your seat as a county council member, you're saddled with here's the
law.
Here's the
bogey. The way it is.
Here's what you're responsible for. Now, how are you going to actually fund that?
Yeah.
And it's sad that jail consultants, when they make plans for future jails and even future prisons, they look at the population of at-risk 8th grade boys, and they take that number and use some factor to project in the future to determine future prison and jail construction needs.
Do you know what they use to determine who is at risk?
No, I don't, because
Okay, I was
I know
just
that
curious.
I know that classification
I
varies
didn't know
from
if I
one
would have
state
been
to the next.
I didn't know if
yeah.
I would have been considered at risk when I was in 8th grade.
I think most of the time, in the things that I know of, they use family income, and then different stats of area, the town you live in, or XYZ,
Right.
or sometimes even ethnic. Whether you're white,
racial background.
racial. There you go.
And then I'm sure that school grades were announced today. Shenandoah, by the way, got an A across the board.
Yes.
So congratulations to them.
Yeah.
Some others didn't do quite as well, but I would imagine that number.
What did Tri-High get?
I think you guys were a solid B.
Yeah.
Knightstown did okay too, except for the middle school.
It's not bad.
Sorry, Joe, your middle school's struggling. You gotta work on the keyboarding down there, Mr. Canary. Yeah, and I think Wilbur Wright was a D.
Really?
That was the worst of the grades that I saw.
That's too bad. Yeah, it's the area.
Yeah.
Those I've been around those teachers.
No, it's not.
for years.
It's not staffing.
I'm
sure
they
about
are
that.
awesome. But on one thing I want to throw in too, while we're on the criminal justice part, as far as Henry County, we are actively involved in a program called the Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative.
Yep.
So we're on the front end, working with juveniles through our probation department, Judge Witham, and really all the branches are actively working together to help prevent. So hopefully we can see the positive effects in years to come.
And then I would imagine that's I don't know if this is something. It's existed the entire time I've been aware of county government. But the sheriffs have always run a camp here for youth.
Yeah,
is that something
that.
that's done all over the state, or is that a Henry County type program? And I assume that's going towards that goal.
In Wayne County, I think it's called the Respect for Law Camp. That's what I seem to remember from when I was in high school. I never did it because I was too busy in 4-H every summer, as well as baling hay and detasseling corn in the summer.
You got to watch these 4-H'ers.
We infiltrate, man. We're all over the place.
But yeah, that's what Wayne County called it. But it was essentially the same thing as what they do here in Henry County.
There's Clay. Every episode, Clay just terrorizes us with sound.
I was trying to look at comments. I can't look at the comments without it turning on.
And you can't mute the phone. One day we'll teach you how to use your phone.
Would you please?
He's not a millennial like the rest of us. Well, like Dakota and I. He's the Gen Xer in the crowd. And
I'm just kind of working my way
same
into
here.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm at the top edge of Gen X. He's at the middle to lower edge of Gen X.
That's the way Dakota and I are. I'm like the world's oldest millennial, and Dakota is one of the world's young. I think you are like the world's youngest millennial.
Yeah, I'm like the last millennial.
Yeah.
But that's what's neat about this program today. We've got a 20-something here, a 30-something, a 40-something, and I regret to say that I hit the half-century mark a few weeks ago.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
You're still running marathons and outperforming any of us, so don't even start. Don't even start. Congratulations, by the way, to Elizabeth. She handed off her tiara last night. Your daughter's one of my 4-H members in the junior leader club, and she was the final, I guess, one of the final Henry County 4-H ambassadors. So she's fulfilled her duties last night, and we have a new Mr. and Miss Henry County for 4-H. So
Clay's wife.
congratulations to the
said hello.
LaMar family.
What's
Appreciate
that?
Clay's wife Beth said hello.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
I told her she could watch. So
you allowed her to watch?
I did. I
gave
did.
permission.
I did. I allowed her because around our house. Oh, I better stop now.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah.
So the last main topic that I wanted to cover on the county level side is we started to talk about the funding a little bit, and it's through property taxes. The county doesn't set property tax rates.
That's correct. They
You fund to a certain levy, and then they adjust, but you have a cap. That's generally the way it works, right?
Yes, and the property tax caps were voted in by public question in 2010. Indiana does not have the right of referendum like California is probably the most famous state that has that. Indiana has what's called public questions that can go on the ballot only after they have passed 2 separately elected sessions of the state legislature. And in 2010, the voters of Indiana passed by a pretty overwhelming margin to put the property tax caps in place.
Yeah,
That's
Indiana is
the first constitutional authorization
pure-
for property taxes, by the way.
We are a pure republic in Indiana.
Yes.
No democracy here, just a republic. That's the way it's supposed to be. No mob rule, no overwhelming I can vote to take your property and you can't do anything about it. I like it. That's why I like Indiana.
It's always interesting when Dakota kind of goes off on his philosophical
you
thought
never
patterns.
Know. I just these things
sometimes I
just pop
sit
in
in
my head
amazement.
sometimes. You just sit in amazement? Yeah, I can tell because you kind of tilt your head over and your eyes get kind of squinty and you're like, what's he going to say next?
All right, so you've got the property taxes, and then does the county have some influence over income tax levels, right?
That's correct. Every county in Indiana can adopt a county option income tax along with either a county economic development income tax or a I'm at a loss for words.
The bright lights, it's the way it goes. We're all getting used to them.
There's one called a
CAGIT.
CAGIT?
Yes, county adjusted gross income tax.
Okay.
SEDIT, county economic development income tax. Yeah, either one of those. You can't adopt both.
You pick one of them.
Yes, you pick one of them.
So Henry County has or caged.
Henry County has a SEDIT, a county economic development income tax, but it was used for inventory tax relief when Indiana went off the inventory tax in, I believe, 2004 or 2005.
Early in the Mitch Daniels administration.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then we have the infamous public safety income tax as well now.
That's correct.
That's a
public
local
safety
option.
local option income tax.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Were you on the council whenever Jeremiah spoke fervently against it?
He was very passionate, very fervent.
I was.
Nate said, "The hell with you, Jeremiah."
I think there's actually, honestly, I think there's 2 to 3 more local income taxes that are our options.
That are in line.
Wow.
Not in line. But
you're warning us?
That are options.
I have my please don't speech ready again.
Yes,
I can dust it off.
Yes.
I'll be there this time.
Right.
Put you guys on double barrel fire now.
Exactly.
That's all right. The city voted for it too. Everybody voted. Literally every elected official voted for it.
It was unanimous on what's called the County Option Income Tax Council. Okay. The County Option Income Tax Council consists of
all of the taxing levies. So it's all of your towns and cities plus county, right?
That's correct. And they're apportioned. The county council controls 44%. Okay, there are 100 votes total.
Okay.
And it's roughly proportionate to population. County council controls 44 votes on the County Option Income Tax Council. City council controls 36 votes. The remaining 20 votes are allocated among every incorporated town in Henry County to the tune of, and Clay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Middletown gets 3 votes on there, Knightstown gets 3 votes, Spiceland gets 2 votes, and all other incorporated towns have 1 vote on there. Is that correct?
Incorporated towns, you mean like Dunreath?
Like Moreland or Dunreath?
Right.
Or,
they've done it
Huntsville.
roughly proportionate to population.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm honestly not sure the exact amount. I just know the others are very minimal. So
basically, they all have to revolt against you guys for you to lose a vote.
Yeah.
So that's what our last bullet point is on here with the county, and we plug that in because I'm the chairman of the party of the county's Libertarian Party. Jeremiah is my right-hand man that walks me through everything because I don't know what I'm doing.
It's your personal advisor.
Yes,
and his consigliere.
Yeah.
You're Svengali.
The hand of the king, so to speak. Anybody watch Game of Thrones other than me here? Okay.
You're the one.
All right. Well,
Nate's busy traveling the world. He knows like 14 languages and runs in marathons. He doesn't have time to do the things you do.
Yeah, that's right. But
he's going to be a congressman or a senator or a state senator or a state representative or a county councilman. One of those things, most likely.
Yeah.
A good chance of it.
So
he's raised hundreds of thousands of dollars at this point, so he's got to spend it on something.
Jeremiah checks into this stuff.
He's going to be like Evan Bye with just this huge war chest,
Please,
looking
Jeremiah,
for a raise.
don't compare me to Evan Bye.
yes,
I'm trying to help. Look at me helping.
That was the best comment of the night. Do not compare me to Evan Bye.
That was classic.
But anyway, part of the one of the things that whenever you sign up to be a party member, they give you our tenants as well as signing your name to the non-aggression principle, which says that you will not initiate force.
I promise not to punch you, basically, is what it
Yeah.
says.
And,
Unless you punch me first, then I get to punch back.
Oh.
That's the non-aggression principle.
One of the tenets is against the income tax, be it federal, state, or local. So that was my last point that I wanted to ask about. With 2 elected local officials here, how would this budget look without a local income tax? I mean, obviously, some more hardcore libertarians that Jeremiah and I both say that we're pragmatic libertarians is what we call ourselves.
Is Rex Bell a hardcore libertarian
I would
by comparison?
He's more pure than I am, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think Rex is pretty pragmatic. But there are some absolute, closer to anarchist libertarians that that argue over whether or not we should have stop signs or basic standards. And I'm not quite that far to down the libertarian rabbit hole.
No, but like,
you would probably consider me pretty extreme.
Yeah, but what in this perfect libertarian utopia that I've developed in my mind, there are no income taxes. And say we got there one day. Say that one day our party gained enough influence, gained enough ground to where we had a majority in either the state or the federal house, and we voted no more income tax. But in this perfect world that I've imagined, there is an increase in sales tax, and there are still user fees around, which is my personal preference. Obviously, it's not going to be the same amount of money as an income tax. I mean, how do you think that would change things?
Go ahead. You want to, just simple, and then let Nate speak since he's the special guest. But it would take a process of time because to make that instant shift would be very difficult. But pragmatically, I think it could be done, but it would have to be done over a period of time.
Right.
Because
nothing is instant.
Right.
Otherwise
because
it'd be
right
chaos.
now, I know with our county budget, if you would instantly take the income tax away, you're talking
shambles.
I mean, job losses. I mean, we would be in a hard. I mean, because we would instantly lose, off the top of my head, $2 million at least between the COIT and the LOIT.
The way government is designed, you don't have the flexibility to make a lot of the decisions that you'd like to be able to make. You don't have a clean slate and get to set up the county the way you want to.
Right.
And I noticed this from the 3 years or
That's true.
2.5 years I spent on the park board. You work within the box that you're given, so you don't have the flexibility to say I want to do this with this rate and that with that rate. It's a very slow and painful process, at least from my view.
Indiana is a very federalist state. What I mean by that is decisions are made by the state legislature and handed down to county governments. County governments, for all the talk of home rule, county governments in Indiana do not have the level of home rule that county governments in most of our surrounding states have.
Right. You're basically charged with executing the plan.
That's correct.
And that so you don't have the ability to say we're not. I don't even know if could you eliminate all. You're still going to have a 3.4% state income tax regardless. So you've got a county income tax that's additional.
I'm going to have to check some tax tables again, but I don't think there are any counties left in Indiana without a county option income tax.
Yeah.
A couple of counties in the extreme southwestern corner of the state which had a lot of coal, maybe 20 years ago when the coal industry there was still viable, they had no county option income tax because they were making so much money off coal revenue.
Right.
But I think even those two counties have adopted it.
Interesting. Yeah. Well,
the question of income tax, I look at some of the other countries I've traveled to, a few of which don't have an income tax, but they tend to be one-product economies where the government controls that one product. And I'm specifically thinking Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no income tax there, although Saudi Arabia is going to be imposing the income tax because the price of oil has been so low for so long. that they're to the point where they have no choice.
So let's, I guess, on the income tax side, one more final question on that line. We've got the LOIT that's put in place. Has that gone towards capital projects, or what's the long term future, and how has that been used over the? I guess you're a year and a half into that being collected. Where's that? How does that fit in?
The public safety LOIT cannot ethically be used for salaries. Okay, it needs to be used for things like jail repairs, sheriff's vehicles, equipment, emergency management, volunteer fire departments, things that are public safety related, but it has to be tangible equipment, not salaries.
So basically capital improvement. Is that the way that it's worked so far, or has that been stretched? How do you feel about the application since it's been implemented?
On the county level, we have used that to the best of our ability. There have been situations where, with the hiring of the 4 corrections officers for the women's dorm, we had to shift general fund money to cover something that could have been covered by we had to shift public safety LOIT funds in exchange for something covered by general funds in order to fund those 4 positions. Is that correct?
In that particular instance, there, it was monies, because before I say this, my opinion of public safety LOIT differs a little bit from some of the other council members. We can legally use public safety money for pay and benefits. You can use it. There's no rule that says you cannot, as long as it goes toward those that work in public safety, like Newcastle did. Newcastle used theirs to give raises to their officers and fire department. But we have some on our council that would prefer not to do that, and I get it, so it's not worth fighting over. So instead, what happens is we take, say, I'm just throwing numbers out, say $125,000 for jail maintenance comes out of general fund. But we need $125,000 to pay for X amount of officers. So what we do, and it's just a switch around, all we do is we just take the LOIT to pay that $125 that came from general and use that general $125 to pay for the officers. I'm okay with that because it all stays in the sheriff's department budget. The one thing that I've been critical of the past couple years and tried to keep a finger on and been a part of, I'm there on the council, but it's just when we use public safety money to fill gaps in the general fund. That's where we start getting off on the wrong trail. So so on that note, though, we did it last year, and I wasn't pleased with the way it happened last year, and I voted no on the budget. Well, this year we did it minimally, and given our current situation, it's like, okay, it's a give and take. And
I was at I can't remember if it was, I guess it was probably your August meeting, and there was I think there was final funding of Prairie Township getting a new piece of equipment.
That's correct.
Yes.
And there was some discussion amongst the members at that time that we need to have a scoring system or a plan going forward, or so that it's not arbitrary. Is that still in process?
Yeah,
or where is that at?
That's been completed thanks to Clay obtaining information from the Shirley Volunteer Fire Department. We came up with a process by which a volunteer fire department that does not receive public safety LOIT funding can apply for it from the county. Now, the example of that was Prairie Township. They initially weren't going to receive additional funding from the town of Mount Summit nor the town of Springport to go towards the purchase of this new fire truck. Eventually, Mount Summit, did fess up and, sent their portion.
That's good.
But it wasn't enough to cover it. So at the county level, we did that because in the case of Prairie Township, they are the second most populous township in Henry County, with Henry Township being the most populous. And Henry Township, the city of Newcastle, has full-time firefighters. Prairie Township is also responsible for the prison, the geo-correctional facility. Therefore, we determined that it was in the county's best interest to go ahead and help them, purchase this new fire truck. Likewise, we have another township, Liberty Township, that has approached me, although they have not yet completed the paperwork.
It's
because
in
they
your district, I guess, over in the eastern part of the county.
Because Liberty Township has no incorporated areas.
Not even Millville? No, Millville's not incorporated?
Therefore, Liberty Township has no choice but to apply with the county. And now that process is in place.
Interesting. All right. Well, Nate, I know you've got to duck out of here early, so we'll give you a chance for any final thoughts on your side, anything you need to plug or announcements you might need to make, and then we'll let you buzz out whenever you want to. You're welcome to stay until the end, or let you excuse yourself at any time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, you touched on this earlier, and it has been an interesting 6-month exploratory campaign, but I have decided that I will not be running for Congress in the 6th Congressional District. Another opportunity has presented itself. Last week, State Senator Doug Eckerty, State Senate District 26, announced his retirement, and I'm now looking at that. Nothing definite yet, but State Senate District 26 is the northern third of Henry County. It's southern, western, and northern Madison County, and it's the northern half of Delaware County plus Yorktown. So it's a very rural district.
It's a big C around Muncie.
That's correct. It's like a giant crescent moon around Muncie and Anderson, both, for that matter.
Would
very purposefully
like Moreland
done.
Be in there?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, everything in the northern third of Henry County, the U.S. 36 corridor is in that district.
Absolutely. Cool.
Yeah, it's basically the Henry County portion probably is the exact same portion that Commissioner Baker has, I would imagine. Is it pretty much the same area?
That's right. The northern district of the commissioners, Stony Creek, Blue River, Prairie, Jefferson, and Fall Creek. It's those townships.
Well, very cool. And then is it Pendleton? Is Pendleton?
That's correct. Yeah, Pendleton's in there. Pendleton, LaPel, Elwood, Alexandria, and then Gaston, Albany, Eaton, Yorktown.
Lots of small parades potentially in your future. All right. And the Sulphur Springs Mud Bog.
That's right.
Every year, that big parade.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you get to look forward to that.
The best barbecued chicken around.
And you might see Jeremiah fall off a trailer.
It's happened before.
Well, I just want to point out how historical this actually is, because Mr. LaMar has come on the Boss Hog of Liberty to tread the water a little bit here and be a little more open about his future.
I feel like we knew more than we did before.
Wow.
There we go. Jonathan Lamb has fought off one challenger already now.
That's what it was.
But unfortunately for him, his biggest challenger is yet to come.
As he called a 900-pound gorilla in the
that's right.
the vice president's
that's
brother.
what he called.
Yeah, he called. I called it an 800-pound gorilla, and he said it was a 900-pound gorilla. Yeah. So I look forward to Clay delivering on the promise of having all of the 6 congressional district candidates stop by here.
We will continue to work on that.
We also need to try to reach out
Thanks
to
so much, Jeremiah.
Absolutely.
Democrat.
Appreciate this.
And you're welcome to stay as long as you'd like, of course.
There's a
Dakota,
couple.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Nate.
Thanks, Clay.
We're going to try to not have Nate trip as we let him out. Oh, man. All right. Your dog's not going to eat him on the way through on the way through the studio, are you?
No,
all the long hallways
she's
and
in
corridors.
the other room.
She's in.
All right.
Hey,
Nate, we'll see you later.
Take care.
Fun stuff. I look forward to the full report from Dakota's in-laws on how this went. Oh man! So
have we had any questions yet about anything pertinent to budget or county or? I'm sure there's been some comments.
Do you want the comments?
I'm sure there's been some comments.
They get sticky. No, we've. Travis Wyke wants to know if any major announcements are made. He got a little something there at the end, if he made it back in time. Mr. David Herring, a former county commissioner candidate, has made some comments on the jail, and Rob Davis is less than satisfied with the answers on the local option income tax. But at the same time, Rob was right there with me. Rob and I were the two that offered testimony, so I'm not surprised.
Well,
Rob asked if there was a BS card we could throw.
Yeah, right. No, there is there's a lot there that if you give me, 30 minutes straight, we could maybe decipher through some of those questions. But there's a lot there, and in this budget, there's things in the county. I still say it. And I know there is. There's things in the county that if we could take little pieces here and there, we could find some savings. I guarantee it. But until we have a full body that's willing to kind of dig into those things, it's going to be very difficult to happen. And then concerning the Lowit tax, right now with what we've been faced with in the county concerning criminal justice, it would take we'd have to sit down and really take a long process to figure out how to pay for the things we've been paying for. It's more than it's not cut and dry and not as simple as what we would like it to be, because we got a mess on our hands that we're trying to fix. We're trying to juggle. The future looks better. Although I guarantee you that the future looks better. But in the meantime, we're juggling. A week ago,
you were very nervous and pessimistic going into this
yes,
meeting you guys had. So
very much so.
I hear that there was some sort of a turn or an adjustment and some improvements. In your big meeting Monday.
Yeah, the thing I was happy about is I was really concerned that we were going to have to make these huge cuts, and they were still going to put permanent expenses into the budget. That was my issue a few years ago that I spoke about, and I complained about, and I voiced my opinion, and it didn't work. It didn't, we still passed permanent expenses, and that year's the year we ended up having $90 some $1,000 short in payroll. And, we started the next year with $220. So I've been concerned. And to be quite honest, from our budget session over the month of August and September, I've been very concerned because everything I was hearing was looking like some, in my opinion, poor decisions were going to be made that were not beneficial to the county's future at all. But what happened is in our council meeting, I basically gave a speech, to be honest, and upset some people, very much so. And but you know what? We came back Monday following, sat down, and it was a total different story.
I just don't understand how people can get upset about that. About trying to be responsible.
One of the biggest problems for me, I think a lot of the frustration comes because I'm so, in comparison, so young and new to the council.
The 5-year rookie?
Yeah, the 5-year rookie, exactly. I think that's where the frustration comes.
Really?
I've actually had one of the council members a couple of years ago admit it to me that, they were very frustrated with me, and they just said, they took me to a back room and said, you're right about what you say. It's just that it's frustrating because we take it personal. We take it personal.
It's one of those things where they say, well, that's not how things are done here. New guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I've heard several times, well, this is the way it's always been done. Well, that's not where we're at anymore. And I am outspoken. And you know what? Here's the thing. I can say if we have a good plan on the table, I can say, hey, we got a good plan. I'm not a thorn in the side just for being a thorn in the side. I just really care about the future.
Right, and we'll leave it at this, I guess, and we'll move on to the topics. There are elections coming up in 13 months, and there are 4 council seats available and 1 commissioner seat available, and I think a clerk and an auditor and a sheriff. So if people want to make changes in the county, they've got the opportunity to do so. And it's a good time to make your announcements in January or February if you want one of those seats. Exactly. And everybody should have to interview for their jobs. Because they're all good people. Everybody that serves on the council is a good person.
And that's the thing. It's not about that. Yeah, exactly. Just different points of view, different ways of approaching things.
Well, good deal. So trying to stay on track here with the the itinerary that Dakota has prepared for us against my will.
Maybe we do need to have a special session with me on the budget because I still have more to say.
You still got more. Man, we counter program next week. Cat and Agnos, a big episode 25, the celebration episode.
We're a quarter of the way to the big 100.
That's it. We're on our way. Cat and Agnos, the #1 most downloaded podcast. She's going to make her triumphant return for episode 25.
Oh, wow.
And Dakota's promising champagne and caviar, so it's going to be very exciting.
Hey, let me say one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the budget, because a lot of people wonder, how can you cut $700,000? Well, a big chunk.
Why not $1 million, man? Slash it.
Here's a big chunk, because the raises that were originally proposed, which I said we can't afford.
Right.
With the raises plus the perf money, retirement money,
right,
$380,000.
So it's a
$380,000. So
this is like a Washington cut.
So
it's a cut in the proposed increase, but not a cut in what was spent over last year.
Right.
Yeah,
that's part of it. Now, $380,000 of the $700. So, and again, so that was my frustration.
So you got over half.
That's what I was
speaking.
speaking. That's why I was kind of fired up, because we were almost ready. Most of that council was willing and ready to pull the trigger
on an increase in tax.
On increasing $380,000 to a budget that we were barely making. That's why I was so mad. Now, when we sat down Monday and the auditor's office had prepared potential cuts, but you're right, cuts to the proposed budget, we took those out. That instantaneously took $380,000 away. And so that's when I thought, okay, we've got a good start. All right. Now, there was other items in there that were cut, simply cut, where we did reduce the general fund budget. And then there was another item where because of raised taxes last year, more funding helped fund a particular computers. It was in the commissioner's budget. Helped fund some computers out of that, and so we could reduce it out of the general fund.
How many? So, what's the makeup of the county council? Let's get this out of the way real quick. How many Republicans?
5-2.
It's 5-2. It's 5-2 Republican Democrat.
Okay,
but
and whenever
party's
people,
not our problem.
Well, hold on. Whenever people talk about tax and spend, whenever people talk about tax and spend, usually the word to follow that is liberal. Whenever they describe a politician that is inherently liberal, like a Bernie Sanders type, they're a tax and spend liberal, right?
Right.
We have a majority Republican, supposedly conservative county council that is tax and spend. That's the philosophy.
Well, here's. You didn't see. I just said I wanted to make one more comment, but
I tried to get you off this train, and now you're here. So good luck.
To end
we're
this,
we're gonna save some of this for the next episode.
To end this, tax and spend. I don't know that I would point the finger and say you're tax and spend. But here's what I would say. In my 5 years of being on the council, being the rookie, right?
You and Steve are both rookies.
Yeah.
Does Steve take the terrible punishment you do as well, or just you?
Duggar?
Yeah.
He used to.
Yeah.
He used to.
Then he became a tax and spend Republican.
Well,
and it was
that's not what I'm saying. But no, my first couple years in there, me and him were, getting hammered a little bit by other people, not drinking or anything, But anyways, no. Here's where it is, and I've said this before, and I know it really ticks people off, and I know there's going to be people hear this that. I mean, that Facebook video I put out, I knew certain people were going to watch it. Oh man, they were hot. They were so mad at me, but I didn't say anything that wasn't true, and I'm not being mean.
Yeah,
you can
get mad about common sense as much as you want. It doesn't change the fact that it's true.
All I'm doing is stating where we're actually at, and the actual truth is, would I say tax and spend? No, we don't go to meetings and a bunch of council members say, "Hey, let's just tax people so we can get more money." But what we do have is some people that are, for some reason, so they to be honest, they act scared to make any big moves or make any big waves in the system. Okay? So when you're not willing to do that, then your spending levels stay at a certain level, right? Or increase because
naturally government wants to grow.
Things increase. Exactly. So when we say, well, we have this that we need, or this that we want to do, or this that we deserve, we don't have the money for it. So what do? Raise taxes.
Well, and an awful lot of what happens is, I saw this in the park board as well, salary and insurance and retirement costs
are
just an incredible part.
Huge.
The head count is just a huge part of running any organization.
Yeah. We spend, and I know you've seen a big chunk of this on the park board, but we spend a few million, several million in insurance.
Yep, absolutely.
Health insurance.
All right. Well, we're going to leave the budget stuff there.
Yes.
We'll move on for now.
Okay.
Dakota and I took a field trip because Dakota is also, like Nate LaMar.
Is that what we're gonna touch on that today?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We visited a city council meeting because you're starting to think about the potential of possibly maybe running for something in the future might happen to have something to do with the city council.
Yeah, but we're not totally for sure yet.
We're not making any announcements because we don't want to trigger any sort of an inquisition like I had. I've told you guys the story that I wound up going before the Indiana. Yeah,
that's why James Neese is your son.
Yeah, James Neese is my son because he testified that the stenographer messed it up, and the story. That's the old legendary story. But I got fined $1,000 by the Indiana Election Commission. So I'm just trying to keep you from having a fine from the Henry County Election Board. They don't have nearly the stiff abilities that I think it's a little bit. Maybe $250 is the max you'll get hit with here, but I don't want anything happening to you, so I'm trying to take care of it.
$250,000. I just can't afford it.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's actually why they waived my fee too. They said, "Oh, you got $1,000 fee, Mr. Morrell."
I know that would help on the budget a lot.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, the way Indiana election code's set up, that probably gets split between the parties that have that have members on the election board, and they get that's beer money for the next year. But they waived my fee at the state level. So we went and visited the Newcastle City Council and followed up with our guest from episode 23, and sat right behind Mr. Dicken.
Yeah, the city council meeting was on Monday, as it usually is. Correct.
Every other Monday.
Whether
they want one or not.
Yep. Basically, they opened up the meeting. The first thing they did was actually the council voted on a motion to come out against gerrymandering, which, as libertarians, that's typically a big deal in our circle.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're interested in improving election.
Yeah,
Clay, you want to slide forward a little bit, Clay, if you want to be on the camera. You're falling right out of the shot.
Well, I'm just trying to scoot back a little bit and
let Dakota run.
Give the show away.
Okay. So basically, they had this thing set up that every, I guess that you guys are going to be getting it here soon. It's basically this page that comes up, and it's in support of redistricting right now, and in support of a redistrict every 10 years. It's in support of a committee that is made up of citizens and constituents that.
Basically, what happens is there's the counties will have to reapportion their numbers or their districts every 10 years. We take a census and we have to do that.
Yeah, and the board that does that is made up by citizens. Like it's an appointed position.
I don't think that's the case.
That is exactly the case. That's what they wrote.
What they're asking for.
Yes,
that's their resolution is to ask for that. But now,
all of this is what they're asking for. Nothing is concrete at all. It's not like they could pass anything. This is just them passing, saying that yes, we all unanimously agree with this. But this meeting was whenever they passed the budget,
right,
for the city. That
was the main thing, and so the highlights from it were basically everything got passed, no issues at all, except there were 2 dissenting votes to the ordinance dealing with the city mayor, council, and clerk pay raises.
Yes, that was Aaron Dicken and Rex Peckinpah.
Yep.
They were against the Aaron, which he was on the podcast last week, and he made it very clear he's not against the mayor raises or the clerk treasurer raises, but he is against. He doesn't feel like he does like they do the work to warrant that raise.
Right. And then there was about an hour of discussion over large trash, which it's the way small cities work. You have these are the basic utilities and functions are what they have to go over, and they spent a great amount of time. There's two factions, Clay. There's a faction that says if we don't pick up the large trash, it's going to get dumped out in the county and it's going to be a mess on somebody else's hands. So we need to keep picking it up. And there's another faction that says either we're going to let it sit on the curb or we're not, and the city shouldn't be doing this anyway. It's costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. We're
$150,000.
Yeah, basically they decided they're going to study it. They haven't. They're not to a point to make any decisions yet, but they're still discussing. And I think
Fall
the council's
study committee.
Yeah, and as libertarians and in the libertarian circles that we run in, obviously people are going to say, why can't a private contractor? And you and I talked about this too. Why can't a private contractor just do this? And yes, we both agreed it's going to open up a market to where we'll see on like Facebook Marketplace and Newcastle rummage sales and Connorsville.
Somebody can say, "Hey, I need this couch hauled away, $20," and somebody will come take it and it'll be done.
Yeah, absolutely. And but on the other hand, my first job was on a farm.
Sure.
We had 22 acres of farmland, and there were multiple times during the years that I worked there from age 14 to 16, and where I would have to go out and pick up trash because somebody had literally driven into a cornfield and got in the bed of their truck and dumped half of a bathroom or half of a living room in the cornfield. So not only is the farmer losing money because some of his crops are destroyed, but he's also losing money because he has to go and pay me the current minimum wage to go out there and pick up trash. And if I get injured on the job or poked with a hypodermic needle while I'm out there, then he's got to pay for that too.
Your slippery slope, Mr. Progressive Libertarian over there, is getting questionable.
Well, here's the thing that I'm thinking.
You're thinking it's the government's job.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's a private company that comes and does it for the government.
Well, right now they're city employees. Why not just eliminate all trash service completely and let somebody hire Big B or any one of the three companies that service our area now that I could hire, living in White Estates?
You do, yeah.
Right. So why does the city need to provide that service at all?
I'm not saying that the city necessarily has to provide that service, but unless we're going to do away with all trash services and go to a private company, then we cannot exclude part of it while we keep one part of it.
Well, and on that note, dealing with local government, so I think it'd be an awesome idea if you could alleviate that cost and then just let a private contractor do it, like
right.
you said.
You would also eliminate that revenue from your sewer and water bill as well.
But what would say somebody doesn't use it, say they do, just go dump it somewhere, or
then you have an ordinance and you're violating somebody else's property rights and you go deal with it. And
okay.
if somebody lets it pile up, then you have a county health department that's going to come in and step in and do their job, just like they do now if somebody has stuff piling up and they don't let it get hauled away.
Okay. So at some point, and that's why because, again, the thing I say all the time, if people would just be self-responsible,
sure,
yeah,
we wouldn't have some of these problems, right?
And I mean, I've utilized the large trash pickup myself because I did not have. Okay, there was a point in my life, and I know it's hard to believe considering the beautiful studio that I built.
That we have built.
That you guys have done a wonderful job.
Yeah, that I was dead broke all the time. I lived paycheck to paycheck whenever I first moved out on my own. I was desperate to get out of the house. I bought a house, remodeled it, and just lived paycheck to paycheck. I made just barely over $10 an hour. And I lived here and, still had a girlfriend that I wanted to take out on dates and things, and so that was my life. I had a little car.
Did you ever pick it for $15 an hour? Or?
No.
No? Huh.
No, actually, in the union that I belonged to, striking was outlawed.
It's not allowed.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How interesting
World's
is that?
worst union.
Yes.
So anyway, the city trash thing is it's undecided. We'll continue to keep an eye on that, and as that comes along, we'll see. But it's once again, it's another opportunity to reevaluate, in my view, and say, hey, do we really have to be able? Because the county doesn't provide this.
No. And I, what's so funny is some of these things I hear about, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Because I live in the city. I have never used the big trash pickup.
Right.
Like I always my dad has a pickup. I fill it up.
You take it to the dump.
I take it to the dump. Like I just do that on my own. So when I hear about some of these things, I'm like, really? That's an issue?
And there was, and here's one thing that you're not going to hear out of the local newspaper, was that, like, Mayor York, and I have a lot of respect for Mayor York. I really do. I think he's a genuine person. I think that he really tries his hardest. But his emotions were high with this. Him and Jeff Hancock. And Jeff, you've met him. And I don't know if he listens to this.
Did you serve on the council, or was that the overlap?
That was the overlap.
Oh, that's who he defeated. Hi, Jeff.
That was the overlap.
I don't know if either one of these people are listening right now, but Jeff is just like leaning back in his chair, and if you're watching on video, then you'll see it. But he's like this, and Mayor York is like about to hop out of his seat. And like raising his voice at him.
I've heard city council meetings have been interesting. So
it was
luckily one Monday a month I'm freed up now that I wasn't before, so now I can go watch for the sport of it.
There you go.
Only one Monday a month though.
Yeah,
not
they have them
other.
twice. Yeah, now I've got all my Mondays free, at least on that side. All right.
Yeah, and there was just so many things that I disagreed with on this whole thing, but I guess we'll move on.
We might hear more about that. In about a year from now.
There we go. Perhaps. As Dakota continues to monitor the situation and make any adjustments he may need to make.
Develop an exploratory committee.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
You can start raising money. You don't have to say what you're running for. Mm-hmm. But you do have to do some paperwork. All right. So then the other...
God, I hate paperwork.
The other item on here isn't nearly as much fun.
No, and that's why we're ending the episode with it.
So the Las Vegas thing happened, and Monday was just a brutal day for me, and I'm sure you guys too. But I was, and if you listen to the Tuesday episode of We Are Libertarians, Chris Spangle was pretty eloquent, talking about the Las Vegas murders, and it knocked the wind out of me. Monday was awful.
Yeah, I first woke up and I looked at my phone. I opened Facebook and I saw something that the headline was like 20 people dead in mass shooting in Las Vegas, but it was like a very unreputable news source. I would say it wasn't mainstream or anything, and I was like, it's just clickbait. I didn't believe it until.
I think there was something in wall chat, like in the middle of the night. I looked at it and saw something. Maybe Tyler or somebody.
That's where I'd opened wall chat, and then I saw it again. And I was like, "Holy cow, this is actually real!" Jeez.
So
and I started reading more on it, and I've been sucked into the news ever since about it.
Yeah, and you have the helpless feeling, Clay. You just don't. Obviously you're 2,000 miles away, and you're just reading about it, and obviously there's heroic stories, and a very sick person. So I didn't know what to do. I said the hell with it. I'm giving blood. And I tried to talk Dakota into it, and we couldn't make the arrangements work out. But Audrey gave blood, and I gave blood, and I knew, it struck me, not the 58 people that died, but the 500 that were injured was just like.
It's massive.
And you just, that was.
It's a war zone.
Yeah.
It's massive.
And they're all traumatic injuries, and you're just like, obviously there's going to be a need for blood, and then you've got the hurricanes and everything else. So I went and I made an arrangement. The Bloodmobile was in Muncie, and I work up there, so I just ran over and gave real quick. And I challenge anybody to do it now or within the next week or two.
Yep. Audrey went and donated blood.
Yep. Yeah. So it's a big deal. The other stuff on the issue, though, conspiracy theory. It's like whenever you have a lack of information, you get this. Conspiracy theories just come out, and they're you've got all of these people that were involved, a crime scene that's just ridiculously large, and obviously information is not going to flow quickly from law enforcement. So then everybody tries to fill the gap, and everybody you've got all the social media and all the videos, and and then it just spirals into everybody can go to crazy town on you, which is even more upsetting.
Very fast. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's I like some of the comments that I did read is just, can we just pause for a second?
Yeah.
Realize what happened.
And then that's true. Monday, everybody gets political.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That was driving me crazy too. And I'm still not ready to get political about it.
Neither am I. Absolutely not. I mean, it was horrific. Yeah. Horrific. And the thing that I thought was disgusting is the opportunist on the political side that kept wanting to throw stuff out there. It's like, really? Because to me, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Yep.
And so when the first thing you want to say is, well, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. Well,
it shows a lot about your character.
That it does. It tells me where your heart is.
And it's like, Cade Coker had made a post about it, and it was sharing what Hillary Clinton said. It was like just a couple of hours after the news broke about it. Yeah. Was that she said, imagine if this had been done with a silencer that the NRA wants to make easier to obtain. And I told Cade, I told Cade that, I said, if only she had reacted this quickly to Benghazi.
Yeah. That, honestly, with Hillary, I think, I've never saw eye to eye with her, obviously. But I've never been disgusted. Now, and I know, because there has been some things in the past, such as Benghazi, where I know some of our guys and gals have been disgusted with her because they had firsthand experience, right?
Right.
But really, for the first time, I can say I was disgusted by her statement. Not that I'm just little old me in Henry County, Indiana, but she disgusted me with that statement.
Yeah, she's not the only one. There were people.
No, and then she's not.
All sides. But
I didn't dig. That's the thing. I didn't dig into it. And with Facebook and Twitter, I avoided the conversation because I didn't want to see all that crap, to be honest with you.
To me, the biggest thing is just trying to find reputable news when it's going on, and it's just...
Right. And now, a few days later, some things are starting to come out. Some legitimate pieces.
Sure.
And so you can listen to that and start to put something together, but still to say we have a conclusion is ridiculous.
All right. Anything else on that topic, guys, or we got that as wrapped up as we can for the week?
Yeah, just thinking about the victims and the families and everything, and as all this stuff comes to light. We were going to talk a little bit more about it, but it's still like in such a shocking phase. Because I don't know, I guess on Tuesday I thought that by now it would be a little less like shocking, but it's still just incredible to me.
It's too sobering still.
Yeah.
You think, moms were lost, dads were lost, kids were lost. I mean,
yep.
Family in an instant, families changed.
Yep. It's so easy to distance yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you step back and think that these people lived lives just like I did.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had died in the shooting, there would be millions of other people just like me thinking about it that way.
Today is a set of prayer for my kids when I was dropping them off for school and stuff, because usually every day I pray in the van with them, but today I forgot, and so I said my prayer after I dropped them off. But that's one thing I prayed about, because every day I send these kids to school. There's so much out of our control. And when events like this happen, like I said, it's sobering, and it's just like, and for me, I just said, God, they're in your hands. I do all I can, but this is an evil world, and evil things happen.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move into our final thoughts portion here. We've had this is an interesting new week for us here in the studio. Got a lot of thanks to give to folks. Got new headshots. Dakota and I did the live event down at Morty's a couple weeks ago, and Ben DeJong came down from Michigan on his birthday and did a photo shoot for We Are Libertarians.
Oh, wow,
so
cool.
we got some sweet new pictures.
That's where some of those pictures came from?
That's where those came from.
Yeah.
If we had been able to get Clay down there,
Hey,
we could have had the three
it's all
of
good.
us. But
It's all good.
we're going to get him in some pro shots with us together.
Riding your coattail.
That's it. But it's just lots and lots of cool things have happened. We've got a super secret group, the Inner Circle. You can apply for membership. We gave temporary membership to Darren Jacobs as long as he's on his best behavior.
Yep.
He can keep it.
9-month probationary period, Darren.
9 months. Wow.
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 Dakota's in charge of tracking that. And then the one thing I want to ask for people, if you want to help support the page, support the show, we need to get we created a YouTube page. So this is our second video that we're doing that's going to be on the YouTube. We did our test video last night, and then this episode 24 is actually going to be on our YouTube page. For us to have a static location for that, we need to have 100 subscribers. So we have to be around 30 days as well, and we just launched the page. So we haven't met that mark yet, but by the time we get to 30 days, I need to have 100 subscribers. So I ask anybody that's listening, jump on YouTube. Don't just like the videos. Liking the videos is cool, but just actually click subscribe to the YouTube page, and we'll get to the number we need to have, and then we'll be youtube.com/BossHogOfLiberty or whatever, and then we can use that on other platforms so people can actually go out and find us easily.
Yeah.
Because right now, if you search Boss Hog of Liberty on YouTube, you have to sift through like four first videos that are of the Dukes of Hazzard, and then you'll find.
How dare they use our name?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, get with the current millennium, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
We're the new show.
Nobody
in town.
cares about them anymore.
All right. Anything else that you guys have final thoughts wise, Dakota? Anything to plug?
No, just like and subscribe. All of our bumper stickers are spoken for, and the only way that you're going to get a fridge magnet is if you are a guest on the show.
All right, so it's time to reorder already. The bumper stickers, I caught some crap last night from Dakota because I was less than generous in speaking of the design. I think they're quaint, and I think they are they're going to be memorable, and they'll be in the museum someday.
All right, the museum.
Yeah, in the Boss Hog of Liberty Museum.
It'll probably be preserved in this guest bedroom, I'm sure.
Yes, forever and ever. Clay, any final thoughts from your side tonight?
Only final thought is again on the budget.
Oh,
I won't go forever, but no, I just I can say that this just simply for Henry County residents, this budget is obviously not perfect. We obviously still have some work to do. I'm still concerned about some of the same things that I've always been concerned about. However, for 2018, this is a budget that gets us level, and the council did acknowledge that there are some things that we need to adjust in the future. So it's my goal that even as early as February, March, to start making sure we follow where the money's going and kind of keep a consistent track record throughout the year, knowing where we're at. So anyways, as of right now, as long as things stay the same, I went from an absolute no to a yeah, I can work with this.
So you're going to be 3 out of 5 you voted for, or 3 out of 5 you voted against? Where's this going to put you on the Clay scale?
Yeah, on the Clay scale. This if I vote yes on this one, this will put me out of 5 votes, 5 years, 3 yeses and 2 nos.
All right.
Yeah.
60% of the time, he's okay to work with, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and you got to. Here's one thing people forget: the same people that put me in office put these people in office.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah, so
you have a variation of voters, right?
Right.
But these are the people that the residents of Henry County said
these 48,000 voters picked you 7.
We want them on the council. So I mean,
yep.
You know, at some point, you kind of you work together, you stand for what's right, and then you go on for the next battle.
Very good. All right. Well, we appreciate the views and the listens. Like, subscribe, and share as always. Continuing to build this channel and this platform. Sometimes we deal with more local issues. This week, obviously, we have we super serve the local audience, Next week is going to be a little more general audience. We'll see what the topics of the world are next week. Clay will be off dealing with some other responsibilities. It'll be a Wednesday show next week. So look for that. We'll have another live 7 o'clock broadcast, or in the 7 o'clock hour Eastern time. Kat and Agnos is scheduled to be with us. And Dakota and I are going to spend the weekend camping together and going to a Garth Brooks concert. So
by Wednesday, we still might hate each other.
By Wednesday, he won't be speaking to me, and we're just going to have to pretend to be nice for the podcast. But Kat's going to be here, and I think we're going to try to talk the lovely Audrey Joe into participating as well.
She's dead set on coming.
We'll have
that'd be cool.
We'll have the 4 seats occupied.
You guys will finally hit the 1,000 mark, right?
I'm sure it'll be maybe 10,000 of those two.
Finally.
So, all right. With that, we should appreciate everybody listening, and we'll let y'all tune in next week.
There we go.
Thank you for listening to the We're Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at We'reLibertarians.com.